Okay, so hello everyone. My name is Adam Crass. I'm an assistive technology consultant, and today we're going to be talking about assistive technology for middle school students, grades 6 through 8 with disabilities. And it's a pleasure to be here and to work with all of you, and looking forward to a good presentation and looking forward to your questions and comments because. Um, Just to hear me talk is fine. I'm happy to do it, but it makes it more interesting for me, and I think it's more interesting for everyone else when we get questions from all of you and comments as they're relevant. So here is the link, and I did put this in the chat. This is the link to the shared Google Drive folder with a copy of today's Google Slides, so you can follow along. And all the hyperlinks are in there too for the different technologies we're going to talk about. Okay, so the next assistive technology webinar I'm going to be doing is going to be in 2 weeks, Thursday, March 13th. It's going to be title is Assistive Technology for Executive Function Skills. I'm going to be doing this with Dr. Brian Friedlander, who's another assistive technology consultant, and hope that you can make it because executive function skills are super important for all kinds of school activities. And we're going to be focusing on ways to support executive function skills for K-12 students and also college students. And we're fortunate enough that SPAN archives recorded webinars. And here's the link to SPAN's YouTube assistive technology channel where they store and make available all the videos of the previous assistive technology webinars, and they're there for your viewing. So a little bit about myself. I'm an assistive technology consultant. I work with children and adults with disabilities in technology. I've been doing this for about 34 years now. So been doing it for a little while. And the services I provide are evaluations, training, ongoing support, professional development, modifications, and customization. And I'm based in Bergen County, New Jersey, and I serve Northern and Central New Jersey in person and New York City, and anywhere else via Zoom, phone, Meet, etc. I offer free 30-minute assistive technology consultations for anyone with disability, family members, teachers, service providers, and these are all remote, so it's either by phone, Zoom, Meet, FaceTime, Duo, etc. If you want to set up a free consultation, please send me an email or give me a call and we will schedule a time. And a lot of times families, when they're starting to realize or discover that the child might need assistive technology, the typical reaction is, what do I do? Where do I start? How do you begin the process? And these 30-minute consultations are a great way to begin the process, or if you need help figuring out, where resources are in your area, et cetera. Um, Sometimes these consultations can help get the ball rolling. A big part of using and choosing assistive technology is trying it out. And New Jersey, as well as every other state in the country, has assistive technology lending centers. These are free of charge to borrow assistive technologies. New Jersey's is housed at Advancing Opportunities. And here's their website. You can check out their website and see what they have in their lending library. And you can request to borrow it if it's available. And uh, lending periods are usually, I believe, 6 to 8 weeks. They ship it to you. They give you a free shipping label to return it. So it's completely free in both directions, and you get the advantage of trying out the assistive technology. It's a lot like trying out shoes. I know a lot of people buy shoes online. I can't do it. I have to try them on to see how they feel to make sure that it's going to be a good fit. And the same with assistive technology. It's very important to try the technology out before you decide if it's going to be a good fit or not. And in general, it's important to remember that assistive technology has two parts, the devices or the technologies and the services. The services support the use of the technology, and that includes evaluations, training, support, setup, purchasing, modifications, and customization. And this is how it's defined in the IDEA and in special education legislation. And remember, assistive technology evaluations can be requested by any member of the IEP team, including the parents, and should always be done in writing. Writing could be emails or it could be a physical letter. I've heard both depending on your school district, but if you're not sure, send in a letter just to be extra careful. And then once that letter is generated, then the district has to reply yay or nay to your request. So do it in writing, or if you're going to do it verbally, then follow up with a written request. Now, I like to find out a little bit about you when we're doing webinars, and this is a Menti poll. A Menti poll is an online survey, and if you could scan this QR code or go to this link and just open up page 3 and just tell me a little bit about yourself. Are you a parent, a person with a disability, teacher, rehab professional, etc.? So if you go to the Menti poll by following this link and complete page 3, it'd be greatly appreciated. And all right, so where we left off is the Menti poll. So if you would be so kind as to scan the QR code or go to the link and fill out just page 3. And here's page 3 of the Menti poll. Just tell me a little bit about your role regarding assistive technology. It'd be greatly appreciated. Thanks. And okay. So what we're going to talk about today is, what is special or different about middle school. We're going to talk about organization, time management, note taking, access to technology, and getting ready for high school. Now, before we jump in too far, I just want to talk about accessible educational materials, or AEM. And this is a blanket term that means that schools need to provide their educational materials in a variety of formats. Typically, what this means is that if things are in paper format, um, they should also be provided in one or more versions of digital format so students can access it different ways, either through text to speech or screen readers if they have a visual impairment, or some other method, or in Braille if they read Braille. And it applies to books, applies to worksheets, quizzes, um, videos, audio recordings that are used in the classroom. Anything that's used as an educational material, you need to make sure that it's accessible. And that could either be done on a district-wide or a grade-wide basis, or it could be done for a specific student. So AEM is important. Make sure you're thinking about it. And typically how that's done is when a teacher's creating lesson plans, they might think about the materials that they're using and make sure that they're in a variety of formats. So middle school. What's different in middle school? Greater volume and increased self-management of homework, longer reading assignments, longer writing assignments. You're switching classes and following the schedule, and in-class note-taking is starting to increase. So in middle school, you're getting a lot more homework, and there's an expectation that students are going to be taking a little bit more responsibility for managing their homework. Um, and another thing that happens in middle school, and by the way, I've worked with many students who have progressed through elementary, middle, and high school and on to college. And I'm currently working with a number of students that are in middle school now. And the thing that's kind of interesting about middle school to me is it's a real crossroads. I mean, kids are not young anymore. They're not quite adults. They're kind of in that in-between phase, and it's difficult for sure. But in terms of the assistive technologies, um, academic expectations definitely increase in middle school. And a big focus is getting students ready for high school. So, at the same time that things are getting harder, there's also going to be this thought about, well, what are they going to be doing in high school, and what can we be doing in middle school to make sure that, come ninth grade, uh, they're ready to hit the ground running. Along with that, in terms of assistive technologies, is middle school students in general are given a lot more opportunity to make choices regarding their assistive technologies. For instance, when I'm doing an evaluation with middle school students, I'm going to be giving them more opportunities to decide between technology A and technology B, assuming that both could work, with the technologies that they're using. Because their preferences are becoming more, important to them, and they want to have more control over their life as is normal for students that age. So, and at the same time, we're also starting to think about fading some of the adult supports that those students may have had in elementary school. So it's definitely a time of transition. Now, in middle school, students are getting longer reading assignments. That can include textbooks, novels, and online articles. And for students who have difficulty with, maintaining attention for longer periods of time, or have memory issues, or may have some type of reading disability or a physical disability where handling books can be fatiguing, then that needs to be taken into account and uh, uh, look at different technologies that can address those needs. There's longer writing assignments. So in terms of reports, longer essays, the expectation is greater that they're going to be producing a lot more or more written work. And this could involve, being able to organize those assignments better. But also we're talking about endurance, we're talking about speed, we're talking about maintaining focus, etc. Switching classes and following a schedule. So middle schools and high schools have these crazy rotating schedules. So students have to be taught, and they have to keep up with rotating schedules so they know where they're supposed to be every day. And students are given more responsibility for getting to class on time. That means they have to know where they're supposed to go, how to navigate the building, and how to make sure that they know where they're supposed to be throughout the day. And there's more in-class note-taking. So note-taking is one of those super important academic skills, especially for, once they're in high school, they're doing a lot of note-taking, and in college, obviously, is note-taking is one of those skills that's just part and parcel being in college. So note-taking starts to ramp up in middle school. Students are learning how to take notes. Teachers are starting to model note-taking more, and note-taking instruction often begins in middle school. Now, our first category is organization and time management. And this includes things like learning how to use your learning management system, both current and the one for high school, looking at digital calendars and planners, considering smartwatches and cell phones and their place in organization and time management, setting up a weekly planning time, color coding, and digital folders and organizing files. So learning management systems, this, for those not familiar with the term, this includes things like Google Classroom, which is one of the more popular learning management systems. Many school districts use Google Classroom, throughout, from sometimes elementary school through high school. Other districts may be using Canvas, which is also a popular learning management system. And some districts have Clever, which is more of a launch pad for the apps that a district may be providing to students. Um, and in terms of a learning management system, it's important for students to understand how to use these. They should be getting some instruction in the ins and outs of those learning management systems. And students with disabilities may need extra instruction. So it's good to have resources where the students can go back and get refresher training. This is a page that Google has put together on getting started with Classroom for Students. And it has step-by-step instructions on how to use Google Classroom. There's also a host of great videos throughout the internet. If you're going to look for how to use Google Classroom, just add, for students so that it's given from a student's perspective. And Canvas also has a student guide page, and they've got all kinds of lessons and videos about how to learn how to use all the different features in Canvas. And one thing that's both great about both of these, Google Classroom and Canvas, is they're linked to calendars to help students keep track of their assignments. So if they've got 5, 6, 7 classes with assignments from all those different classes, using a calendar or a to-do list, for instance, Canvas makes a to-do list or something along those lines, are going to help students keep track of their assignments. And as I mentioned before, one thing that's nice about both of these is they both have calendars. Google Classroom um, automatically sends the assignments to Google Calendar. So if you are logged in to your Google account as a student, you can see your assignments in Google Classroom, but you could also look in Google Calendar. And if the classes are turned on, which is a matter of a check mark, they're going to be able
In this video, we're going to learn
to
how to
see their assignments. So we're going to take a quick look at this
find when
video
your assignments
and talking about how Google Classroom sends the assignments to Google Calendar.
are due in Google Classroom. As a student, this will help you stay on top of all assignments while logged in using your student account. Click on the app launcher and then click on the Classroom logo. On the Classroom homepage, you're going to find a separate card for each of the classes that you're enrolled in. You're going to see any assignments that are due soon. For example, this assignment here is due at 4 p.m. on Friday. Above the classes, you're going to see a link that says Calendar. Click on the calendar link, and this will bring you to a weekly view of all the assignments you have due. You'll see that this assignment is due on Friday, but also you'll see that it's due at 4 p.m. You can use these arrows to toggle between weeks, so you can see what's going on next week as well. If you click the down arrow on this drop down, you can select a specific class that you want to filter on and just see the assignments in that class. If you click
Okay, so the thing that's nice about this, and this is a good strategy, by the way, is looking at a calendar a week at a time. Otherwise, it could get too overwhelming. Of course, you could see it by the month if you want to, but looking at a week at a time, I think, is a good strategy. All right, let's. And Canvas calendar, short
Hi
video about
students,
that.
I'm going to show you all about the Canvas calendar. Canvas calendar is a great way to stay organized. To access the calendar, you're going to click on the calendar icon on the navigation bar on the left-hand side of your dashboard. At the top of the calendar, you can toggle between the months.
And you'll see here that all the items that assignments that teachers have assigned for this particular student go right into the calendar, and they show up there. And they're color coded, which is a great strategy we're going to talk about a little bit later. And this is a nice way for students to keep track of their work. On the right-hand side, you'll see also kind of a list of the classes, so you can make sure that all the classes are turned
You can
on.
also toggle between.
So you know that you're seeing the assignments from all of your classes as well. And again, if you think your child or your student is not 100% up to speed on whatever learning management system your school is using, there's somebody in every school district that, is going to be there as a trainer or a coach for these programs. It's important to make sure that they learn how to use it effectively, because there's a lot of great tools, and a lot of the homework and assignments are going to be, delivered this way. So it's very important for students to learn how to use these tools. Smartwatches and cell phones have also become obviously more important in terms of time management. And one watch that some of the students I've worked with have used is the Gizmo watch. And one thing that's nice about a Gizmo watch is it's it it's limited in what it can do. And I think that's a good thing. It really is for getting calendar alerts. You can only do texting and phone calls with a very limited number of people, but it can be a way to help students keep track of time, follow their schedule, and and you know, uh, but not be too distracting. Another nice tool for organization time management is called the Magic To-Do List. And we're going to take a quick look at this. This is made on a website called Goblin Tools. And the Magic To-Do List is kind of it's an AI powered, way of creating a to-do list. So I'm going to create a new to-do list. Let's say I'm going to write a report about global warming for seventh grade student. And then these chili peppers over here, this is how you adjust how much detail you want. So if you don't want much detail, you're going to go to one chili pepper. If you want a little bit, you pick two. So I'm going to pick two chili peppers. And so this is the one I want. Whoops. Invent a new way. Oh, I want to write a report. Okay, this didn't work so well, but let's see what some of the subtasks would be. Mhm. So what happened just there is it went out and used some AI, and it created these subtasks underneath the first one that I wrote, write a report about global warming. And these could be edited or removed if you want to. And the idea behind the magic to-do list is it it could be looked at as a modeling tool to give you an idea of how to break things down into smaller pieces. If I was actually doing this project, I would go through these and decide which ones I want to keep, and I might get rid of some of the ones that I thought would be extra. But that's the magic to-do list. It's also good for, for actually everyday chores, or maybe, you're building something, or you're going to plan an event, etc. You could use the magic to-do list to help you get started. MindMup is another tool that I've used quite a bit. It's an online graphic organizer program, and it could be used for all kinds of things. I'm just going to show it to you real quick. And if you're going to get it, go to the MindMup for Google Drive. This way it integrates with Google Docs if you're using Google Docs. And I can create webs online. So I'm going to write a web about my favorite foods. And I'm going to create a couple categories. So I'm going to create breakfast. And then I'm going to create a sibling node, lunch, and dinner. And of course, the fourth meal, snacks. And if I want to expand this, I'm going to talk about yogurt, fruit, etc. And then if I want to take this, I'm just going to zoom out so you could see the whole web. And now I can export this as an outline. Let's move this out of the way. And it's going to turn into an outline and open it up in a Google Doc. And here it is. So now I could go from my outline, from my web to an outline, and then I could start writing sentences. Or you could expand your outline items into sentences. Either way. But the thing that's nice about this is it's kind of a seamless progression from the web to an outline, and lets me get right into my writing or creating a list, etc., or organizing things. You really could use it for just about anything. Okay, now one strategy that I found to be very helpful, although it's a little challenging to get students started on it, but I found that, if parents are working with their child to talk about what's going on the coming week, it's a really great idea to set up a weekly recurring time. Maybe it's Sunday night, or maybe it's Friday after dinner, or something like that, where the student can sit down, look at their calendar for the coming week, and kind of figure out what's happening, what quizzes or tests might be coming up, what assignments are due, and to start planning their time in terms of their homework time, studying time, etc. And I found that many students that I work with do not seem to have a regular homework schedule, and that's, I think, a little bit of an issue. Having a regular homework schedule is a great strategy, and having this regular weekly moment, maybe it only takes 15 minutes, but to think about what's coming up in the week and just to start planning for it. It's a great habit to get into. And for many students who struggle with time management, it might be a completely novel way of thinking about their schedule, but it could really be a great start to something better. Color coding, this is something that's done, in lots of elementary schools. It's been around forever, but don't stop color coding. If it works for a student just because they're in middle or high school, keep going with it. Color coding is really powerful, and I especially think it works well in schools where the teachers, um, as a group, color code their different classes. So if math is blue, then everything related to math is going to be blue. If social studies is orange, then everything related to social studies is orange. It really helps kids, keep things with the class that it belongs in. This can also be used in your folders, in your digital folders. So if you're in Google Classroom or Google Drive, you can make the color of the folders follow the color of the class. And there's lots of ways to organizing digital files is also something that's very challenging for students, but it's not complicated. It doesn't have to be. A lot of it really depends on this idea of creating digital folders. I can't tell you how many students I've worked with. I look on their Google Drive, and there's like hundreds or maybe thousands of digital documents. Um, they're not organized. And and students can't find anything. So it could be a big problem. Um, I think we might be running out of time in about 10 minutes. So I'm going to try to wrap it up in 10 minutes. Otherwise, we might have difficulty with Zoom. But there's a lot of ways to organize your files. A lot of it depends on what your school is using. If you're using Google Drive, learn how to organize folders in Google Drive, learn how to move things into folders, learn how to create folders. If you're a Microsoft school, you might be using OneDrive. But it's important to learn how to organize the folders, how to move things into folders, how to archive old assignments. You might want to start like a folder for the previous years so you can kind of archive stuff and get it out of your way. Okay, so note taking is our next subject. And we're going to talk about note-taking strategies, practicing with TED Talk videos, and digital note-taking supports. So first of all, note-taking, I think, is one of the hardest things we ask students to do in school. And one of the reasons that note-taking is so hard is that you have to multitask. You have to do a whole host of things, 3 or 4 different things, all at the same time. You have to listen, you have to write, you have to summarize, you have to prioritize, you have to write and listen at the same time. You have to figure out what's important and what isn't important, what to write and what not to write. So note taking is really, really complicated. And I think it's super important for every school district to make sure they're teaching the sub skills that are embedded in the active classroom note taking. How do you summarize something? For many students, that could be a very difficult task, but super important for note taking. So if a student is having trouble with note taking, one of the things I often do is look at the sub skills in note taking and make sure that all those sub skills are 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 understood. If they're not, then you need to take the extra time and focus on those sub skills to make sure that the student understands how to do them. in isolation, and then you put them together. And there's lots of great strategies for note taking. Here's a really nice article that I found, 11 helpful note taking strategies. I think everyone should read this article because there's lots of great ideas on the strategies for note taking. And one thing that many people who do assistive technology, including myself, will tell you is that the technology by itself um, is not usually enough to really help address a student's challenges. It's a combination of good classroom instruction or supplemental instruction from a teacher and the assistive technologies together, working together. It's not really just a technology. You can't just throw technology at an issue or a problem and expect that, it's going to solve it by itself. It doesn't really work that way, for the most part. So you've got to look at the instructional supports as well as the technology supports and then bring them together. And there's lots of great note-taking strategies, outlining Cornell notes, adding notes to PowerPoint or Google Slides, sketchnoting. And Brian Friedlander and I are going to be doing a whole webinar on note-taking, so we'll be getting into this a little bit more. But one thing I wanted to talk about today is split screen using TED Talk videos. And I like to use TED Talk videos to have students practice taking classroom notes because they're kind of like a lecture format. They're usually well prepared and well organized talks. And the student can start and stop the video at will. So if they're feeling like they're falling behind and they want to stop, they can just pause the video. It's quite easy. But doing split screen is a simple and inexpensive way to practice note taking. And let's try that a little bit. Okay, I'm going to open up a video here. And I'm going to take this video and actually I'm going to leave it there. I'm going to let's move this out of the way. I'm going to open up a Google Doc and I'm going to pull this over to another window. There we go. Okay. And then here's my video. So my video's on the left. Whoops, I didn't want that. My video's on the left and my Google Doc is on the right.
The world is incredible. For example, this man created an electric car that doesn't require charging. Scientists have been able to make amazing creations like this lemon pomegranate hybrid. They've also taught a gorilla to knit. They've come up with innovative cuisines such as pumpkin spice bologna. All of these stories are sensational.
So I can pause the video whenever I want to, and I could either type my notes or I could use bullets. I could use numbered lists and create outlines. I could do sketchnoting. So I could do a variety of different note-taking supports. I could have skeleton notes over here where I'm just filling in the details. So using a split screen, I could have the video on one side and the Google Doc on the other. Now, I usually like to pick a video of interest to the student, so the topic is easy or familiar or something that they like while they're practicing the note taking. Typically, with note taking, it's better to have it just be one thing difficult at a time. Doing two difficult things at the time for novice note takers can be super challenging unless they have some good supports for the note taking part. There's also a lot of other digital note-taking supports. For example, you could have the Cornell Notes template in a word processor. So if typing is better than handwriting, you could type your notes. You could use OneNote, which is a great program for organizing notes. Good Notes is a note-taking app for digital handwriting. So that would be like using an iPad um, with a stylus. And I noticed that we have less than a minute for our webinar. And I apologize for the technical difficulties today. Um, we we might have we might be running out of time. So I just want to skip ahead to my contact information. And if anyone would like to contact me by phone or email to discuss any of the topics in today's presentation. Thanks again, and have a good evening.